The last time I saw Noah Mercer, he was standing on the wrong side of the railway tracks, holding hands with people who had vanished before either of us was born. A train passed between us for less than 10 seconds. When the carriages cleared, every one of them was gone. It happened during the winter of 1997, 6 months after Mom moved my sister and me to Blackheath in the Blue Mountains. Dad had gone to Sydney with promises about weekend visits, but the weekends became phone calls, and the phone calls became messages Mom stopped passing on. We lived in my grandmother's drafty weatherboard house, where the hallway smelt of mothballs, and every cold tap groaned before running. I was 12 and angry at everyone except Noah. He sat beside me at school, traded me a scratched Silverchair cassette, and showed me which servo sold the cheapest sour straps. Most afternoons, we walked home together beneath dripping gums, kicking seed pods along the footpath, and arguing about which of us could ride a BMX down the old fire trail without touching the brakes. Noah always took the dare first. I usually followed, because I could not bear watching another person leave without me. Our quickest route home crossed beneath the railway and followed a narrow maintenance path beside a deep sandstone cutting. A rusted sign said the path was restricted, but the proper road added 20 minutes, so we slipped through a gap in the wire fence. The first time we used it, an elderly railway worker in an orange vest shouted from the platform above us, "Don't answer anyone down there after the last train." Noah laughed and asked if that included ticket inspectors. I laughed too, although the worker did not. 3 days later, we saw the woman. She stood beyond the opposite track in a mustard yellow coat, where the cliff rose almost vertically behind her. There was no platform, gate, or path on that side. Her dark hair looked wet, though the afternoon was dry, and she watched us without moving. Noah waved. The woman raised her left hand a moment later, copying him exactly. A freight train thundered into the cutting, filling it with diesel fumes and screaming metal. When it passed, the woman had disappeared. On the rock where she had stood, someone had arranged 6 white stones in a straight line. I told myself she had stepped into a drainage recess. Noah said she was probably waiting for someone. Neither explanation made sense, but admitting that would have meant using the long road home. The next afternoon, there were 2 people beyond the tracks. The woman stood in the same place with a boy beside her wearing an old red school jumper and shorts far too thin for the cold. His face was turned toward the cliff. Noah called out, asking how they had crossed over. The boy slowly turned. Even from 30 meters away, I recognized the face from a photograph pinned outside our school office. His name was Peter Vale, and the typed notice beneath it said he had been missing since 1986. I grabbed Noah's sleeve and pulled him towards the fence. Behind us, the boy called Noah's name in a voice that sounded exactly like mine. Noah stopped. I dragged him harder, and we ran until the cutting disappeared behind the trees. That night, Noah rang our house and asked whether I had shouted anything else. When I said no, he went quiet, then told me the boy had whispered something after we started running. He said, "There's room for both of us." On Friday, the final school bell rang beneath a sky already dark with rain. Mom was working late, Aaron was at a friend's house, and Noah's parents thought he was staying with me. We should have taken the main road, but Noah wanted to prove the people were only reflections from the houses above the cutting. He had brought his father's yellow disposable camera. By the time we reached the fence, the rain had become a fine silver mist. The maintenance path was empty, but 6 white stones lay on the nearest rail. Noah photographed them, and a flash burst across the wet cutting. For one instant, dozens of people appeared in the darkness beyond the tracks. Men, women, and children stood shoulder to shoulder against the cliff, all facing us. Some wore school uniforms. Some wore clothes from decades earlier. Every face looked pale and swollen by rain. At the center stood the woman in the yellow coat. Beside her was Noah. Not the Noah next to me, but another Noah, perfectly still, with the same green jacket and braided cord. The Noah beside me made a sound like his breath had been punched out. His double lifted its left hand. Noah's own hand began rising without his permission. I seized his wrist before he could wave. Then the last passenger train entered the cutting. Its lights swept across us, and every window flashed with the reflection of seated travelers. In one window, I saw Mom. In another, Aaron. In the final carriage, I saw myself sitting beside the woman, older and gray-faced, tapping on the glass. The train slowed. Through the noise, Dad's voice called from the opposite side. "Daniel, come here, mate!" I knew Dad was in Sydney, but I had waited 6 months to hear him sound as if he wanted me. I stepped towards the rail. Noah tackled me from behind, just as the train passed between us and the cliff. We hit the gravel, and the camera spun from his hand. For several seconds, there was only steel, sparks, and the smell of hot brakes. Then, Noah heard his mother calling. He stood before I could grab him. The rear of the train cleared the cutting, revealing the waiting people only meters away. The tracks between us had somehow narrowed to the width of a footpath. Noah's double held out its hand. Noah looked back at me and said, "Don't let them forget me." He stepped across. I lunged for the braided cord around his wrist, but it snapped between my fingers. The woman took Noah's right hand. His double took his left. A second train roared through without headlights. When it was gone, the opposite side was empty. The cutting was wide again, and I was kneeling beside 6 white stones. Search crews found Noah's school bag near the fence, but no footprints crossed the tracks. Police decided he had entered the bushland and become lost. I never told them about the people, the voices, or the second train. I only said we had argued and Noah had run away. The lie protected no one. Noah's parents left Blackheath before Christmas. Mom eventually sold the house, and I avoided railway platforms for 29 years. Erin kept the disposable camera, although every chemist told her the film had been ruined by rain. Last month, she found it inside a box of Mom's belongings and sent the roll to a specialist lab. 5 photographs were fogged and empty. The 6th showed the cutting illuminated by Noah's flash. The waiting people filled the far side. Noah stood among them, holding the woman's hand. And beside Noah was a 12-year-old boy in my navy windbreaker, staring directly into the camera, while the real me stood in the foreground. He was wearing my cracked digital watch. Its display showed tomorrow's date. I was already waiting there,